So in the last few months, since all of Young Justice became available, there has been a lot of the news reports about the possibility of getting a third season if there is enough demand for it. I know what all of your notes have been on, how this is possible to get it to be a thing in the first place. But in just even recently, I uploaded the Young Justice Career blog that I did recently, and I was seeing in the comments, even still, people didn't even know, what can I do? So I want to also have this as a separate thing of just please, black and white, the ways that that anybody out there can support Young Justice to get money in Warner Brothers and Netflix and DC Comics' pockets to show, hey, people want more of this. What can we do?
Okay, so I'm glad you asked. It's an important question because I think the possibility is very real that we could get a third season. Right. This is not me blowing smoke. I truly believe it's possible. I want to be clear. I've got no guarantee. I don't even work at Warner Brothers anymore. I work at Nickelodeon. But I've had a couple conversations with the folks at Warner Brothers and even a conversation with some folks at Netflix. And I have a basic understanding of how this works. Mm-hmm. So what I'm offering isn't a guarantee, but it's a viable strategy. It's something that is real that can help us get a third season of the show. And the thing to keep in mind is why the show was not continued in the first place. Mm-hmm. And it's a very simple equation. I've seen all sorts of rumors and stuff on the internet. Yeah. I debunk them I debunk the same damn rumors over and over again on the internet. Yeah. But the actual truth is very straightforward. I'm sure there were other little complications involved, but they were minor compared to the big thing, which was that the budget for the show was paid for by money we received from Mattel in exchange for the toy license. When the toy line for Young Justice failed, and you could have a whole 8-hour discussion on why it failed, but that's so beside the point, it doesn't matter. Yeah. When the toy line failed, the money from Mattel stopped coming in. There was no money to make the show, and it's that simple. And why that's important, why it's not some conspiracy or why it's not it had the wrong audience or any of those things. Right. The reason it's important to know why it was canceled is because that's the key to figuring out how to bring it back, which means what can we do to pay for the show in a different way? Right. The answer to that is you want to demonstrate specifically to Warner Brothers, but also to a number of companies that sort of hover around or divisions that hover around Warner Brothers Animation, that there are alternative ways to pay for the show. So first and foremost, what I'm asking people to do is hashtag KeepBingingYJ. And that first hashtag is mostly about Netflix. Netflix had season 1 of Young Justice up for quite some time without having season 2. But as of February 1st of this year, they put season 2 up, which is great. And I began this campaign to have people start binge watching Young Justice on Netflix. The thing people need to keep in mind is this is a marathon, not a sprint. Mm-hmm. They can't just binge watch it, At some point, someone put up a thing, let's all, on Valentine's Day, let's all binge watch the show. And so they got huge, they were trending on Netflix for Valentine's Day. And then when it was over, it was like, okay, did we get the show back? And I'm like, who said Valentine's Day was important? It's great that you guys did that, but that's not the answer. The answer is we need those numbers to stay big. We need them the Netflix and Warner Brothers to see in a way that affects their bottom line that people are watching this show and therefore would watch a third season. So we want that. If you have Netflix already, this is a really inexpensive way to help us out. Just binge the show. Hell, for all I care, turn it on and leave the room. Go do the dishes. I don't care. Just set it so that it keeps watching the episode one after another. Every 3 episodes or so, you come back and say yes. Keep watching more. But the key is we've got to keep those numbers high for a long, ongoing basis. I don't have some kind of magic, well, if we just get this many views, that'll be enough. I don't have that number. I don't know that number. I don't know that number exists. We just want on an ongoing basis to demonstrate that this show is loved and that if Netflix puts it on for a third season, if they pay for a third season, they will be rewarded with lots and lots of viewers.
Mm-hmm.
You can also binge watch it on iTunes. That helps too, because that money from iTunes goes into Warner Brothers' pocket. And Warner Brothers will see, we can make money doing more of these. But the key is watch it over and over again. Second way, buy the Blu-rays and or the DVDs. Don't buy them used, because then Warner Brothers doesn't see the money. You got to buy them new so that Warner Brothers gets their chunk of it every time a sale is made. That way, Warner Brothers Home Entertainment goes to Warner Brothers Animation and says, wow, the DVDs and Blu-ray sales on Young Justice are fantastic. We'd like some more of these. And that encourages Warner Brothers Animation to say, well, are you going to pay for a part of it? And if the number's big enough, Home Entertainment says, yeah, we will. They pay for a little of it. And that's another way Warner Brothers says, okay. The other thing to keep in mind is that Warner Brothers owns the show. DC Comics owns the characters. Now, of course, they're both divisions of Time Warner, but you want both divisions to want there to be more episodes. So one great way to do that is to we did a bunch of companion comics for Young Justice. They're in continuity. The writers who wrote Young Justice, mostly me, wrote the stories. A couple of great artists, first Mike Norton for 4 or 5 issues, and then Christopher Jones did great work on that book. And we did about 25, 26 issues of companion comics. They have timestamps just like the series had, so you can even figure out exactly where they fall between episodes. They tell stories that were missing from the series because we didn't have enough episodes to tell them. They introduce some new characters. They give you more information about old characters, backstory, all this great stuff. Buy those on Comixology or iTunes, because every time you do that, money goes into DC Comics' pockets. And DC goes, wow, this Young Justice thing's still doing well for us 3 years later. We should encourage Warner Brothers Animation to make more, and we'll make more comics. And you want that. Now, I'd love to be able to tell people, go to your local store and buy the books there. I'm a old-fashioned guy myself. As you know, I can't even figure out how to do Skype. And I really love the feel of a comic book or a trade in my hand. But the fact of the matter is that all those books are out of print. So if you're buying them in a store, you're buying them as a second sale. And so Warner Brothers, DC Comics, they won't see a dime. So I would say go to the store and buy the hard copies because they're worth having. But what I need you to do is buy them on Comixology or on iTunes as e-comics, so that that money portion of it goes right into DC Comics' bottom line. Those are the 3 ways: the DVDs or Blu-rays, the e-comics, and the binging on Netflix or iTunes. Those are the 3 real ways that we can affect things. And what I will say is that it seems to have had an effect. I don't have any inside information, but it's clear that Netflix and Warner Brothers are at least having a conversation. I don't know if we're close. I don't know if we're far away. But the fact that they're talking at all, that's promising. So it's working. But again, it's a long haul. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So we need people to continue to do this. We need them to show the show to friends, so that if they've already bought the Blu-rays and DVDs, then their friends will buy them. If they've already read the comics, then their friends will read them. If they've already seen the show, then their friends will start binging the show as well. So we need converts. And all this stuff, I think, is a real, legit way for us to get a 3rd season. Because I'll tell you this, there's no one at Warner Brothers who's sitting there saying, we didn't like that show. We don't want to make any more. They'd love to make more. They just need to know that they're not going to get economically burned by doing it. So that's my rant on that subject.
No, not at all. And I want to add to that, to any and all of you out there listening to this, whether you're a subscriber or if you just happen to find this through whatever other connection, if you have not already seen Young Justice and you've been hearing the buzz about this kind of popping around on news sites and stuff, I highly, highly, highly implore you check it out. If you already have a Netflix account, it is free to watch the whole thing on there. All 2 seasons are on it. It's a fantastic show. And if you have already seen it, then do all of that. If you are able to, do all of that. Even at the bare minimum, if you can, what he was saying before, just have it on in the background. I'm doing that. I am doing that right now. I'm having episodes on in the background because it's not just you watch it the one time, oh, it's over, where's my show? No, you have to keep doing it. The more support you can lend, the better. If you can get new copies of the DVDs or Blu-ray sets to own a copy of them for yourself as well, do that. If you can get the e-comics from Comixology, do that. I'm going to have links to all of that stuff. Any and all of that, it is support. There's no Kickstarter. There's no petition that's going to do anything about this. These are, as Greg was saying, real ways that you can get this to happen. The fact that these conversations are going on and things have changed with, shows getting picked up for digital distribution, if it is lucrative, because I know that you've said this before too, I'm stealing this quote, but animated series don't get put into a magical funnel or whatever and they just happen. They're funded. They have to happen through lots and lots and lots of money to pay the tons and tons of people that work on them. All of the animators, all the board artists, all the writers, all the actors, all the producers and directors and everybody. That's how it happens. And this is how you you yourself can more or less be funding the prospect of this continuing on. And, even if it were just like another season, I know that you have plans for doing, far more than that if possible, but even if it were another season, I want to see, as a newer fan, I only just recently finished watching through this. I want to see more with these characters. I want to see more of what you and your crew had planned for this, for going forward. And so anybody and everybody out here listening to this, please do any and all that. I'll have links to all the stuff where you can get it legally to buy it and watch, etc. In the description below. And even spread this. If you've been seeing people around talking about, like, oh, I wish that show would come back and they don't know the score of what's going on, link them this video or otherwise, or just spread the information out there. Show them the show if they haven't seen it. Do anything you can because this is the actual chance that you have. This is what you have to do to make that happen. So that's my post rant to your rant.